G'day YouTube, warbles on a lot here, about 22 past 10 on the Friday. So this is the third day of motorcycle Hillbilly Zen and maintenance repairs. And this is the great test fitting, where I have confirmed that despite some warpage in the aluminium casting in the moments, the split puftillionth of a second between being smashed against the tree on the side of the headlight and having all three mounting flanges break off. This member here has acquired about a 15-degree twist, that way I think it is. These are slightly out of whack, but I'm pretty sure there should be enough strength in the anastomosis for it to work. These, I'd say the join's now probably stronger than the original plastic moulding ever was. So now what I'm going to do is take this off, sand all of the anastomoses lightly, get some matte black paint, spray it into the inside of the lid so I can then use a brush and paint over the Araldyte with matte black paint, which will blend in at least as well as the shiny Araldyte does at the moment. And the thing is, with exposure to ultraviolet, that Araldyte is going to turn yellow. And when that turns yellow, this is going to look like shit on a stick. At the moment, it's a sort of, it's going to be in a standoff condition for at least the next week or three, where you wouldn't know from a distance that anything happened to it. But after that, there will be yellow lines here and yellow there and yellow there, and I don't really want to go with that. So even though I've got the hurry ups, I'm going to slow down and do it properly. The only serious mistake I made was I thought it might be a good idea to undo that nut, and I thought there would be something as simple as a little push-pull plug on the inside of that, so that I would have been able to detach the headlight from the bit that needed fixing, and I could have then fixed it at my leisure over on the veranda, instead of coming over here and squatting down, working on the delightfully branded Mama chair. And if you hold your mouth right, squint out of one eye and shut the other one, you can just barely see this. It says imported from Japan on the faded label. I'm imagining this was exported sometime just after the Second World War, when that was considered the correct piece of furniture for a mother to sit on. Anyway, it turns out the Mama chair is pretty good for sitting on when you're working on your broken motorbike. So yeah, regardless of the hurry-ups, I think I'm going to have a go at making this have a good long-term cosmetic result, as well as hopefully a functional structural repair. Time will tell. Okay, sanded back and then lightly singed with a cigarette lighter to get the furry bits off where the thread has stuck through the resin. Pieces masked, or at least blanketed to catch the worst of the drips. First, clean out the cup with some terps. Use toilet paper to clean the crap out of the cup. And after mixing the spray paint, going away downwind of the workpiece, the idea is to turn spray paint back into liquid paint, and then quickly run away and use it before it dries. Okay, there you go. How many people are going to notice that? And the matte black paint is waterproof and it's not going to fade to yellow like the epoxy would. So, job done. All I've got to do now is assemble it, and after assembling it, plug it all back together and then turn it on and hope that it all still works. But let's hope. The only potential failure point is that I foolishly decided to try and take that nut off so that I could work on the whole thing away from the bike without the mama chair. And when I undid it, I found that there was a ring nut on the other side of it, and rather than a plug pushing into the light fitting, there's two insulated cables that disappear deep down in there, and there's a circuit board that the cables disappear onto, and the ring nut it's around those bloody cables. And when you get in there to have a look at the circuit board, yeah, there are screws, and you can take the screws out, but there are also patches of white heatsink paste joining a couple of chips to the inside of that case. And I think if I tried to take the whole light fitting out, slide the thing back up so I can re-engage the ring nut with the thread on the end of that water sealing bolt, I would break the contact between the heatsink paste and the light case, and that would fry the circuit in due course. So what I've elected to do is trust that the ring nut with two wires going through it, spreading out, going to different places, that ring nut's not going to get enough energy transferred into it, bouncing to cut through the insulation and short out the lights. And I've just Araldyted the plug back into place because it's an iterative process. It is in fact the nursing process. Assess, plan, implement, evaluate. Well, I plan to take that light off and work on the thing in the peace and comfort of the veranda. However, when I got into the light, I found that my plan was a silly one. I would have been better off accepting from the outset the fact that I have to come over here and sit on the mother's chair and rebuild the light fitting, all three of them, in place, in situ as it were, because that's what I had to do anyway. And it seems to have worked, and it would have been a whole lot better if I hadn't fiddled with that. But I thought fiddling with that would have got me away from this situation where I just couldn't get the light out of there. Light's too fat to fit through the hole. And the light cable disappears inside. There are compartments in there that I don't know how to get into, and the wiring goes into them, and I'm not prepared to play with that sort of stuff. This is something I can fiddle with, and I think I've probably got it nailed. Anyway, time for news and the coffee, while I clean the brush and the cup, because that is what mineral turpentine is for. Okay, we will see what we will see.
Consumers are telling 8 companies that the market will bear a higher price.
There we go, shut that off. I don't think that's too bad, actually, as a cosmetic result. Like, you really sort of have to know that there's a glued join on all 5 of them, even if I do say so myself. Not too bad, and all the numbers line up on the plugs. And as I said, as long as we don't wind up with the loose ring nut around the 2 insulated wires going far enough forward under the bumpiness accumulated to cut through the insulation, it should all work. And here we have things called keys. So let's see if it still works after its trifle with a tea tree trunk. Lights up, says it's got 100%, and the headlight is on. So, Chrissy didn't do too bad, apparently. Yep. We have leftiness of the blinker. We have rightiness of the blinker. The headiness of the light stays on, and everything at the back end is all happening the way it's supposed to be doing. So unless that thing breaks in the near to intermediate future, I do pronounce the $7,000 a year ago in the shop type electric motorbike repaired, cured, at home, with the materials to hand. No anguished telephone call to AE bikes at Reevesby required. Yahoo fucking yippee. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao. Post-scriptum. Regarding the restraint. As you can see, the bike has about a 10 or 15 degree lean toward the kickstand. When there's no tarpaulin on it, there's plenty of room for wind to basically go through the gaps, so to speak. It's not quite as gappy with the pannier bags on, but when this bike is under the tarpaulin, because it wasn't tied with string, I was able to get the tarpaulin to conform fairly neatly to the contours of the bike. And what I'm going to do is put a solid compression strut in down along there. Thus, so that should the wind try again to do what it did last time, and bear in mind there have been some changes in the micro topology of this clearing since my mind became sort of observationally programmed by what happens when a strong southerly gust comes in. Now, those solar panels are lined up true north-south. So an absolute downburst over there on top of the ridge, it sends a gust that comes down here into the clearing and rushes more or less straight through here. And well, for 34 years that aeroplane trail has been there, and then the shed got put up there, and my shed was hiding over there, and there used to be a lot more trees here. And right along here there was a whole lot of wattle trees. So the downburst would come in sort of over my shoulder, and it would hit the wattle trees and disperse and fluff up and tumble over the top. No severe wind on anything that was mine. However, having nestled the tent in under the turbulence shadow protective edge of the clearing, then this went in, so we've got two more or less parallel vertical sided structures with a smooth base, fairly constrained and constricted up there, so the high energy gust that would normally sort of come in here and disperse itself on the trees, it gets funneled by those two vertical walls up there. Here we've got a corrugated cylindrical water tank, so any high speed high energy wind coming from there runs along here and coander effect sticks it to that edge as it goes around. And oh golly gosh, look at that, we've got a pair of slotted flaps at 45 degrees to everything to get anything that might turbulate coming off there. And look, see, we've got another cylindrical, more or less leading edge slot or flow directing flat turbulator, and another circular corrugated. All this is designed, fortuitously, never planned to do it, to feed high velocity air around here, right? And because air follows whatever surface it goes over, look, see here we've got a turbulator. Before we've got this, Now, what do we got? A blank wall, and you can go over there. You can hit that and get faded off there, but we've got a protrusion here. So the high energy wind comes around here. Okay, there's a bit of a deflector up there, but depending on if that was facing west, that's also going to contain the high velocity flow, which has now come down over there and it's been directed around here. That's fairly porous, but a solid wall of trees with a swimming pool underneath it, another swimming pool, and a great big circular water tank. So yeah, whatever comes around here, whoosh. And now we're kind of sort of set up to get the high speed southerly downburst gust brought down into the clearing, turned around the corner by all of these obstacles which funnel it straight at the Talaria sting, wrapped up in a tarpaulin with a bulbous rounded front on it that goes all the way down to the back axle and up over the top of the pannier bags. And after coming around here with, oh, what do we got? 20-degree angle of attack, so we haven't stalled. We've got a big rounded leading edge. Then up over the wing mirrors and down to the front of the front wheel. A tapered, sharp trailing edge to the fin. And it's a 68 kilogram bike. And it's leaning onto its kickstand at 10 degrees, 12 degrees. You can't have the bike leaning over too far or it'll fall over. So it's probably only taken about 5 degrees worth of aerodynamic lift as the wind comes in around here